So here we are, the Sunday before Easter, and this week as I was thinking about what the topic would be, the word passion came to me first. And I was thinking about it. I have a word that'll come to me, and I'll be thinking about it during the week, and the next thing you know, it'll solidify, or it won't. But I just allow it. And then I realized, well, this is Passion Week, isn't it? The beginning of Passion Week. So it's perfectly appropriate that we speak about passion. And the Easter season, we know, and I've spoken about it so many times, that way, way, way back in the history of humanity, way before the Christian tradition, there were many earth traditions. And then when Christianity took form, they brought many of the older earth traditions into their culture, and they became one. So I may talk about that a little bit more next Sunday, but for now I'll just leave that alone because I have quite a bit to share this morning. I remembered a story. I was thinking about it this morning about a little girl that was in kindergarten, and her school was having a play for Christmas, and she was so hoping to be one of the stars of the play, and but she was chosen as only a star. To be a star, not one of the actual people in the play. And so her mother was so worried about it and thought she was going to be so disappointed. And so when she asked her about it, she says, "Guess what, Mom? I'm going to be a star, and I just get to stand there and shine." So that's what we're going to talk about today, folks. Each one of us is a star, and you just get to stand there and shine. So what are some of the qualities that we're looking for if we're passionate? Passionate, joyful, spirit-filled, loving, wise, inspired. You're optimistic, right? Naturally optimistic instead of naturally pessimistic. Instead of being the one in the group that'll bring you down, you're going to be the one in the group that brings someone else up. If you're with someone else that's in a negative mood, if your mood is high enough, joyful enough, you are going to bring their mood up. That's what's going to happen. Optimistic, vibrant, uplifting, lighthearted, creative, enthusiastic. Zeal and enthusiasm, actually that's one of the 12 powers that Charles Fillmore, a founder of Unity, spoke of often, was the power of zeal and enthusiasm. So today, what I'm going to do, besides just standing here and shining, I'm just going to give you a few tips about how we can change our lives maybe for the better. One of the things we can do first is to look at some of the things that might be holding us back. Some of the things that are going to hold you back, and you're not going to find your passion, okay? And I can pretty much guarantee this. You can take it to the bank, as they used to say. Anger. If you harbor any anger in your heart and you refuse to let it go, you can forget about finding your purpose and your passion in life. It's going to hold you back. I guarantee it. Resentment. Blame. Search your soul this morning as I'm mentioning these things. Do you harbor these things? Most of us do at some point in our lives until we learn to let it go, until we learn we're the only ones that are hurting in this situation. Failure to take responsibility for your life. Blame, blame, blame. You got to give that up at some point. Unforgiveness, guilt, worry, anxiety. And I was just thinking as I looked at Matt that he was going to be our other poster man for passion and zeal and enthusiasm this morning. You can step into a room and bring everyone else up, and I know that. Thank you, Matt. Thanks to all of you that are always enthusiastic, bringing our spirits up. Any feelings of unworthiness or feeling small or insignificant, let that go. Allowing others to judge and criticize you maybe and bring you down. It's one thing to leave those people behind that judge and criticize you, and some of us have stepped away from people in our lives. It doesn't mean we quit loving them. It just means we refuse to be in that energy anymore. We can love them from afar. But here's the really difficult thing, and that is to quiet that inner critic. Anybody got an inner critic that wants to judge you for everything you do, make you wrong? Do your best to let that go. And don't waste any time defending, apologizing, or explaining yourself. Jesus or Jeshua, he did not debate with his naysayers. He's our example. Our naysayers, all we need to decide about them is that their comments do not matter to us, okay? Live your truth is what we were told. Let your light shine. Don't hide it under a bushel. The only validation you need comes from within. Jesus spoke with passion. He lived with passion. He didn't let other people stop him. Even though he knew it was going to lead to his death, he still lived with passion, his passion. He walked in the light. And that's the reason we're still talking about him today, over 2,000 years later. Also, we might want to think about indifference that we have. Someone mentioned to me the other day that there are a lot of people just walking through life kind of indifferent, not excited about anything. can't get their excitement going. One time that I remember in my own life that I can use as an example of how to bring yourself up when you're feeling down was that, and I know I've shared it with some of you before, when we moved here, we were planning to move before Katrina happened, and we had looked at several beautiful houses right on the water. And about that time, our house in East Tennessee, we had a beautiful place right on the Tennessee River. And we had 18 acres, and it was wooded, and it was beautiful, and I had everything that I needed there. And wouldn't you know, Spirit wouldn't leave me alone. We knew it was time to move because I just, when you know your purpose is waiting for you, it won't leave you alone. And so we had made several trips down here, and it just so happened our daughter Sherry lived in Houston at that time. She and her husband Al were music teachers. She's orchestra teacher, and he's a band director. And so they lived in Houston at that time, and the children were little, and of course, what does any grandmother do? They go see their grandchildren as often as they're able, right? All 900 miles of it. I flew out there a lot, but we did drive sometimes, and if we drove, we would always stop down here, and we would stay someplace on the coast. And we naturally loved Bay St. Louis at that time, but so I knew the urge was there, and I knew that it was mine to do. I was to come and build a center here on the coast of Mississippi. And so, wouldn't you know, we got a full price offer on that place in Tennessee the week after Katrina happened. And I remember thinking, what now? Because all I had seen was the devastation on television. And interestingly enough, and you're really going to get the metaphysical meaning of this if you think about it, I was in Fort Lauderdale with my elderly aunt. I used to go and see to her care about once a month, and I was with her when Katrina passed directly over Fort Lauderdale as a Category 1, and it crossed over, made a loop, came back down, got stronger, and came back up. And so we had no television. All the power was out where I was, so I didn't know what had happened after it went back out into the Gulf. And then when my husband called and told me, I was just shell-shocked, didn't know, what are we going to do now? So when I flew back home and saw what had actually happened with that storm, I just couldn't believe it. Every house we had looked at, and the one we were had an offer on that we were going to purchase, gone. Nothing left but the front steps. What are we going to do now? Well, the contract came in. I asked Dan, what are we going to do? He said, we were supposed to close within weeks, and we did. We closed on the house, and with virtually nothing, put our furniture in storage, came down here, and found a place to live upstairs in a house that had to be rebuilt downstairs. And it's the only time in my life I've been a little prone to depression, and I know several of you have. So I can tell you I've had a touch of it, so I know how it feels. Because after a couple of months and seeing nothing absolutely nothing but despair, and houses gone, and nothing but heaps of stuff where houses used to be, or that beautiful house on beach in Bay St. Louis that was broken in half, and just the photo of that. But I've always walked, enjoyed walking. It's my contemplation and meditative time. I meditate while I walk. And so I was finding, though, that just the surroundings were making me feel a little of a depression. And so what I decided to do was take my own good advice, and it is what I'm going to tell you today, is to find something you love. Anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be terribly insignificant. And do that. Do that. Find a passion in it. Do it. So I've always recycled, and I've always had a passion for doing that. So I noticed how many aluminum cans there were everywhere. And people that were coming, the workers, the people cleaning up, they thought nothing of just throwing their trash down, because it's all trashed, right? And they're soft drinks. And so I just started walking every day and picking up aluminum cans. And it became my joy. It became my mission. It became my passion so much that I had a man that lived down on 2nd Street, and he told me he was going to save his beer cans for me. And I'd go down every day and pick up his beer cans, and there were several. So he found his passion too. He was finding his passion a little bit different way than I was, but that's all right. I'm not judging that. So John Maxwell said, "You'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine." Okay. Anybody thought of anything yet? What could you do? Just like I did. It was one little thing, right? And when it may have seemed insignificant, but it sure felt like a passion to me. It sure did. And what if the secret of your success is found in your daily routine? Is there an invisible barrier to your passion and enthusiasm? Lifelong habit, way of thinking, judging things, refusing to let an old belief go. Going to hold on to it forever because you're hard-headed and you're stubborn. And you have a lot of tenacity and willpower. So you're going to hold on to that. So, what if the secret of your success is found in your daily routine? What do you love to do that makes you feel vital and alive? Anything? Maybe you'll walk down the street. I remember a neighbor years and years and years ago when we lived in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and she had some illness. And I remember her excitement when she told me that she was able to run down to the mailbox and back. She was getting her life back. So whatever it is that you can think that you could change about your daily routine, just one thing, it may seem insignificant. I hope you'll choose that. And I hope you'll start doing it every day. My husband Dan is the one that told me to do this. He said, "Hun," because I was talking to him yesterday, he was asking what I was going to talk about today. I told him I was going to talk about passion, zeal, and enthusiasm, and trying to uplift people, get them to be more passionate, share their passion, inspire others. And you know what? Your passion propels you forward. It has momentum. It does. So find what you're passionate about and do that. For Roger, it's throwing those papers, isn't it, Roger? Tossing those, yeah, there you go. He does it with passion, excitement, enthusiasm. I love that. I love that. Another poster man. So, desire. I desire a better world. Add your fire to it. Add some fire to that. Add some joy. Add some heat. That equals passion and enthusiasm. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go home. I'm going to put on my walking clothes. I'm going to go out for a walk, and I'm just going to let my light shine. I hope you will too. Thank you for your time.